Feminism is a topic that surfaces from time to time. Some people proudly identify as feminists while others strongly oppose it. In this video, we aim to offer a brief overview of this concept, exploring its historical evolution and various manifestations. Stay tuned. Feminism is a very broad concept. However, generally, the essence of this concept is that in the world there exists a male-centric perspective on issues, and for this reason, the existing mechanisms are unfairly biased against women. With these descriptions, efforts to disrupt these mechanisms and establish greater gender justice fall under the umbrella of feminism. The broadness of feminism is because the male-centric perspective can manifest in politics, economics, society, culture, and any other aspect, and advocates for women's rights are accordingly diverse and varied. Another difference lies in the intensity and quality of efforts to uphold these rights, which we will discuss further. The term feminism was first used in France in the mid-19th century and gradually became common in other countries by the late 19th and early 20th century. While movements for women's rights existed before this period, previous sociologists and philosophers had not chosen a specific term for these movements. The history of feminism and the various periods of feminist activists are commonly divided into four waves from the 19th century to the present day. However, this classification is more applicable to Western societies. Although similarities are observed worldwide, women's movements and activists in other parts of the world did not necessarily follow these four waves and pursue different paths. First wave, 19th century to mid-20th century. The primary focus of this wave was on amending unequal laws. As women had a limited presence in society during that time, laws mostly granted all or most rights to men. In most countries, women had no rights to property, business ownership, or employment. With the global spread of democracy, the issue of women's suffrage also emerged. The first feminist wave rode on these demands and achieved significant success. For example, in Britain, women gained the right to vote in 1918, in the United States in 1920, and in France in 1945. Although most countries officially recognized basic rights for women, such as the right to vote and property ownership by the mid-20th century, in some examples like Switzerland, women did not receive the right to vote until 1971. Another legacy of this wave is the celebration of International Women's Day, officially established in the mid-20th century and recognized by the United Nations on March 8th. Second wave, 1960s to late 1980s. From the early 1960s and with the expansion of social movements worldwide, the second wave of feminism emerged with new concepts. In this period, in addition to legal inequalities, a broader definition of gender discrimination encompassing family and cultural relationships to politics became the focus. One of the key concepts in the second wave of feminism was the distinction between sex and gender. Sex refers to individuals' biological and physical characteristics, such as their reproductive organs and chromosomes, which divides humans into two groups, male and female. In contrast, the concept of gender addresses societal constructs that define roles, norms, and relations between men and women. For example, the notion that a certain color is feminine or masculine, or that a particular job is for men or women, are examples of constructs defined by society. In this distinction, gender, representing femininity and masculinity, is not a tangible issue like sex and is constructed and shaped by society and history. However, more recent beliefs reject the exclusive classification of humans into two groups and view sex and gender as a spectrum, which is not the focus of our discussion here. In such an environment, many second-wave feminists claim that all gender characteristics were tools for male dominance and that all these symbols and traits needed to be eliminated. Another point highlighted in this wave was the broader inclusion of the women's movement. In the first wave, rich and privileged women mainly pursued their rights, but in this wave, attention was also given to other social groups and classes. This wave also had achievements, and many laws, particularly in the family and job markets, moved toward greater gender justice under the influence of activists from this wave. Third wave, late 20th century and early 21st century. From the early 1990s, a new wave emerged alongside the second wave within feminist movements. In other words, the third wave did not mark the end of the second wave, and both movements continued to operate side by side. The most significant feature of the third wave of feminism is placing more importance on personal characteristics and recognizing differences. For this reason, in this wave, there was a slight departure from rigid definitions on what is right and wrong. Instead of these conventions, it was suggested that individuals themselves should be able to decide freely and independently beyond stereotypes. The most important achievement of this wave is the universality of demands for gender equality and the formation of broader coalitions for women's rights. Fourth wave, 2010s. Many intellectuals agree with the three previous waves of feminism, but there are also those who believe that in the digitalized world of 21st century, feminist movements have taken on new colors and shapes, defining themselves as a distinct fourth wave. The fourth wave of feminism emphasizes women's empowerment and utilizes the internet as its most important tool. For example, a topic that has garnered significant attention in this wave is the discussion of sexual harassment, and the online movement Me Too is considered an example of fourth wave feminism. In addition to classifying feminist trends based on different waves, they can also be categorized differently based on beliefs and behaviors. Three types in this classification model are more famous than others. Liberal feminism. Liberal feminism, mainstream feminism, or reformist feminism is one of the most well-known feminist beliefs, heavily influenced by the first wave of feminism. In this belief, liberal values, as discussed in a separate video, play a key role, and liberal democratic systems are considered the best framework for the growth and freedom of individuals regardless of their gender. Based on these beliefs, liberal feminists strive to address and remove obstacles and problems related to gender equality without disrupting the overall structure. For example, they may work to amend discriminatory laws or educate the new generation about gender equality. Marxist and Socialist feminism. In contrast to liberal feminism, Marxist and Socialist feminism are based on a Marxist understanding of the world. Marxist feminists see the main reason for gender inequality in class structures and capitalist systems. Therefore, their solution involves a revolution against capitalism and the creation of a communist society. Alongside Marxist feminism, socialist feminism also exists. While socialist feminists recognize class structures as a cause of gender inequality, they also consider the patriarchal culture as a separate entity from class structures influencing the issue. Radical feminism. Radical feminism is another type of feminism that is highly renowned and is considered to be influenced by the second wave of feminism. Adherents to this belief argue that a comprehensive patriarchal system exists globally, shaping all relationships throughout history, and all public and personal issues of individuals require re-evaluation and redefinition. Within this belief, there is a spectrum. Some are more moderate, believing in the creation of a world with gender equality, while others, more radical, believe that women should devote all their attention, even emotional attention, exclusively to women. Now that we have discussed feminism, let's provide a bit of criticism. Most criticism of feminism comes from conservatives and supporters of tradition with a somewhat reactionary perspective. Another portion of criticism is not directed toward feminism as a whole, but toward certain beliefs and behaviors of specific groups within feminism. Even within feminism, there have been criticisms of other feminist orientations, waves, and movements. Most criticisms are against radical feminism. Some individuals accuse this group of being misandrist, while other feminists believe that radical feminist behaviors will not only fail to lead to greater equality, but will also create resistance against other feminist approaches. With all these characteristics, with all the diversity that feminism has had over the past 2 centuries, undoubtedly, today's world is more just in terms of gender, primarily owing to the activities of feminists. It was a brief overview of feminism. If you found this content informative, please like it and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to share your thoughts, comments, and ideas for future topics in the comment section. Thank you for joining, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.